Hey guys, it's Mike of the review crew here today.
It's Joe again.
And it's Mike.
Hey, what's up guys? We're here with our second episode, chronologically, of Star Wars Clone Wars, which now we're going to Season 1, Episode 16.
Which makes perfect sense, so don't ask any questions.
Total sense, apparently,
I don't
chronologically.
know what I'm supposed to be looking forward to besides more sassy banter.
Yes, that's about it. Building up the story in the first
And 100 more episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seasons, we'll build up a nice story that, cascades into something that makes sense. It just has to build up a little bit.
Yeah, I just feel like we're tackling an absolute beast.
You
of
know,
series
I
right
really
now.
hope that at the end of all of this, that everybody lives happily ever after.
Oh, I believe everybody at the end of this will live happily ever after at the end of Season 7.
Yeah, and definitely none of them all died totally by random, which was actually all planned out forever ago.
There's no Order 66 or anything like that. No none of this is great.
I don't think McDonald's has a number 66.
You're right, they don't. Well, anyway.
Okay, anyways.
We're going to be starting our episode here. Can't wait to find out what happens in Star Wars Season 1, Episode 16, titled The Hidden Enemy.
I mean, I could.
You could. Starting in 3,
I can wait.
2, 1.
What are we waiting for?
He said, I can't wait to see more. And I was like, I could. Truth enlightens the mind, but won't always bring happiness to your heart.
That's true. Ignorance is bliss.
Oh, Season 1, we're jumping back in animation style.
I remember watching this on Cartoon Network when I was 8. And changing the channel.
Unable to defend themselves any longer.
It's so close, it's like point blank. Christophersis.
Yoda!
So I guess this does follow up that last episode because it's the same planet.
Now I'm more confused about why they did it the way they did it when they made
George
it.
Lucas.
Well, now they're on the planet, helping them
Okay.
on the ground with the ground war.
And they have different helmets.
No, some of them are different soldiers, I think. That's Commander Cody.
How is that a
and
full
that one was
season
Rex.
apart?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not in chronological order.
How did Kenobi get
Because
here?
next up is the movie, technically, which is Ahsoka's introduction. She's not in this episode or the past one.
I always thought the droid tanks were the coolest looking tanks.
I always thought
They
were
are really cool. I love those Legos. Did you ever have that
I had
Lego
that.
set?
I had that Lego.
I love that.
I also
Lego
had the
set.
troop carrier that you could pull out the thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
bro, so cool.
Oh, yeah, the droids do really have really cool stuff.
That was my second favorite. My first favorite Lego set, the samurai one.
I remember the last Lego set my parents ever got me was the full Star Destroyer. It's pretty dope.
That's dope.
Things got intense really fast.
Yeah, right?
Well, kind of cool.
He didn't last long.
Obi-Wan, what's going on? We're cut off. The droids are onto us.
We're using no cover at all.
Gunship, come in. Hawk, we need an evac in the South Tower.
Roger that, sir. We're coming.
He's got a hawk on his helmet.
Is that why his name's Hawk?
North. Not for long. Fire cables.
So reckless in that room.
Rex is a dope character from what I remember.
Rex is awesome.
Bastard.
Oh my.
Oh, I thought he was gonna save him.
No!
Oh, I got you. I'll use the force.
No.
They don't even notice.
It's clear. How did you get over here? I improvised.
I sacrificed many men.
Could have grabbed him, but did.
Don't worry, Dad. I'm here.
To the elevator.
We're going up.
Now what?
Probably should have blown up the elevator.
I feel like they're always bad at covering their six.
Yeah.
They're Jedi.
They're like, oh, there's people behind us.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the issue. The droids, they should have definitely given droids to the Jedi. That way they just don't, they're not getting poor, helpless people killed. Because, the likelihood of them dying is so low that they just are desensitized and they just let people die.
That's why they gave clones, because they're more effective than droids. Like, that clone just took the head of the commander droid. That's called the tactical droid. He took like for the head so they could get the
Maybe this tactical droid will tell us how they knew our plan.
Those things are dope too.
Dude,
AT.
All
of
of
the
the
vehicles.
machines.
All of the vehicles.
Yeah, just
the engineering, man. Star Wars is great.
Well, so much.
I got a good look at him. I'd say he's about 6 foot tall,
Looks like me.
slightly darker skin, bald,
Crew cut.
sounded just like you.
Well, that's the thing. Last episode, I just said it's a good thing about having clones. It's not having a traitor.
You must have gone in the mess hall.
Sick.
You've got a big problem. Yeah. The only people in here are brothers. It's to ourselves.
Here, I thought you said they were super
They're
trustworthy.
Jedi.
Exactly.
Hmm.
We love R2.
R2 has been the OG in the beginning. That's my favorite thing about the Clone Wars is that it builds up information about not just the Jedi, but also the clones, so you learn about them.
We can't reach General Kenobi.
Roger, Roger.
Whoever it is blocked out.
Which means this is a trap. I imagine it is. Well, that's unfortunate.
This banter, though.
They were going into a trap. Yeah, I think so.
What is it?
Ventress. And here I thought this mission would be unpleasant.
The pleasure's all mine, my dear Obi-Wan. I've missed you.
That was a little weird.
I feel like Obi-Wan knows everyone in the entire
There's also
universe.
like pseudo checking her out. Like, what was up with that?
They had a thing.
Things like
Yeah.
what? I'm sorry, son.
Opposites attract.
My favorite fights are pretty good though.
I mean, she seems pretty good to be able to deal with both of them.
Yeah.
They were all brothers. How did you know the General would
Oh,
go?
got him.
I really wish you hadn't noticed that, sir. It's Slick. Slick's the traitor?
His men are like, wait a second.
Why didn't they also follow them?
Because
I was so shocked.
they care about his commander.
They're like my brother / commander. It's like literally your brother. They're all
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Books.
That's a weird one.
Why even stop those? Eat books.
I mean, some books really hurt.
That's Slick. Now that he's exposed, he has to get out of this base. There's no escape now, you piece of rakeweed!
Oh, he sabotaged.
Wow, what a piece of crap. He placed a lot of bombs real quick.
Hurry, I had it sent over already.
He took out our weapons depot.
I'm all yours, Obi-Wan.
What? She said, alley-oop.
Come and get me, boys.
Oh, there's droid ships.
You are bringing friends.
They really are reckless.
The poor droids are like, wah wah!
Who's that guy?
That's Warthog guy. You know, it just occurred to me this guy Slick is pretty slick.
Oh.
Dad jokes.
So you really just missed all of the Spider-Man puns, and you're gonna go with that one?
You just saw the spider puns with the spider guy, and you're like, oh, Slick, hey, hey, hey.
Slick is pretty slick.
Oh, I guess they all have the same combat abilities, right?
I don't know. It was a 2-on-1, and they had him. You know. Whoa!
Yes, she offered me money. I think freedom's gonna have to wait, kid.
Didn't he just, like, absolutely demolish his leg?
It was you.
I love my brothers. You're too blind to see it. But I was striking a blow for all clones. If you loved your brothers, you wouldn't have put them at risk. You betrayed every one of us. Take him to
Yeah, that's kind of crazy though, from like a psychological standpoint. Like they are all your twins.
Were you able to salvage
Like
anything from the
the whole
weapons?
clone army is a family.
That's why they refer to each other as brothers.
Yeah, that's wild.
Just going for all along.
They should all have the same personality technically, but they develop different.
Right.
But based on their generals, they develop different personalities.
Yeah.
Like they learn from the Jedis they're with. So each general will have different.
Like, they imprint on them, kind of.
Yeah, different soldiers. And
That was crazy.
That was like an episode.
I actually really like that one.
Yeah, it was solid, I guess.
I enjoyed that more than the first one.
So honestly, that one had a better
'cause
story.
That had a better, like, fully encompassing story, whereas the first one we just watched, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, we're fighting.
Yeah,
We're
I
doing
don't know.
things. We're doing things.
And there's this spider guy.
Okay, you have to look at those two technically. I guess those would be considered a two-part episode because even though they're two different seasons, I know. Even though
Yeah,
they're
I
two
have no
different
idea how
seasons-
that episode and the other one are a full season apart, because isn't it the same planet?
same
And-
planet, and same war and everything. It's just
Wow, so they're on, like,
Star
that planet
Wars
a
time.
long time.
it could be, or it could just be a day apart.
Yeah, no,
It could be flashbacks.
It's a season apart. It's like, it's not a flashback. It's just that's the first few seasons are out of chronological order until they're like so Dave Filoni and George Lucas are like, you know what, maybe we should put these in chronological order so it makes sense. That would be good.
I mean,
There's a
it's
thanks
not
to
making a
our-
whole
thanks
lot
to-
of sense just yet
No.
to
I
me,
mean-
anyways.
I mean, that
We're
was
2
just-
episodes in.
Yeah.
And it's not like an hour-long show where you have like all this setup, like
Yeah, you're
like
right.
Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That one just basically shows, the clones, like I said in the last episode, I was like, the clones are, like all the same, they all think the same and stuff, and they're, super loyal, that's why they have clones, and nope, turns out
Well, I think
some of them don't feel that way.
didn't Clone Wars? It was like a 7-8 o'clock at night type of Cartoon Network deal.
I guess so, it was like...
Definitely.
Yeah,
Later.
so like it's meant for kids, like an episodic thing where you can kind of like jump in and jump around.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And, later on, the seasons do become sort of chronological, where they start, each episode goes after each other.
Gotcha.
So like, I think around season 3-ish, it starts to become
I
really...
mean, it's kind of like Family Guy, right? Like, there's no the first like 3 seasons of Family Guy
It's
are
just for your viewing pleasure.
wherever you want 'em.
Yeah.
Well, it's like War Chronicles for the first, 2 seasons. Literally
Huh?
war stories, because it's Clone
Oh.
Wars. So, like,
Okay.
like for that one, that episode was heavily focused on the clones, whereas the first one was focused on Anakin. We learned, quite a lot about
Who Anakin is as a person.
Yeah,
and
in the first
how
one,
the clones
yeah.
interact. So there was a good 2
this one.
setups.
Yeah, this one you learn about the clones. You get Commander Cody and Commander Rex, who are the commanders of.
Those were the 2
Rex-
guys
yeah.
that chased down Slick, right?
Yeah, and they're the commanders, so they're the highest ranking clones in those
Well,
areas.
because is Cody
Anakin,
Obi-Wan's
yeah,
like commander and Rex is
both
yeah.
Anakins.
Okay.
And so basically, they'll be reoccurring probably throughout the seasons. They're even in. They're even if you go as far as watch like episode 3, the movie episode 3. They're in that. And some of the characters from this will be in that. They just are not named in the movie. But in this, George Lucas, and probably for merchandising of toys, gave them names.
Right. The 2 like most iconic ones are gonna have names for licensing.
Well, all of them will have
That
names.
tracks, that
And all
makes
the
sense.
commanders will have names. Like so, each Jedi has like a commander for their clones, because they're a general. Each general is each Jedi Knight is a general. Each Jedi Padawan is a commander, and then the leaders of their groups are captains, like Captain Rex,
Gotcha.
Captain Cody, and there's other ones that you meet throughout the series. And not as we saw, not all of them are clones in the ones that in the ships, especially like the Admiral or whoever that was. I think whoever was with
He was a
Anakin,
Or
guy.
like
he was
people.
he was a regular
Yeah.
person. Yeah, he was a
Whoa,
human.
whoa.
Oh,
He's not a
Did you,
clone.
did you say clones aren't people?
It's a whole different discussion that we'll get to.
a genetically different, a genetically unique person.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And, I mean, the crazy way to think about it too is that each of these clones, because you guys have both watched Mandalorian, so each of these clones is a clone of Jango Fett,
Right.
and Jango Fett is technically a Mandalorian by lore.
Is he by blood or like
Well, he's a foundling, I think.
He's a
He's a
foundling.
foundling?
He's like
Yeah.
Din Djarin, so he's like the Mando.
But he's not part of like the whole like
What-
Jinjarin like.
No, but
No,
technically,
because he's
Ginger.
also in like a sect of.
Right. I know he is.
technically, Mandalorians were a race many years ago,
Right.
and they adopted any species they found.
It
that was,
wasn't.
like,
they're
like
not.
foundlings.
They're not a race. They're
They
a
don't
culture.
it's not just humans.
Yes,
like,
it's a culture.
It's a culture type. It's like a warrior culture where if you find like a young abandoned child, you
Right.
adopt them, and they become your foundling, and they become a Mandalorian by culture and creed.
Yeah.
So technically, all these clones are
This is the way.
Mandalorians. They're clones of a man, Jango Fett, who's a bounty hunter Mandalorian, who's like super strong in non-canon legends, which is like the stuff that when Disney bought Star Wars, they got rid of. He was like Mandalore, who was like the leader of Mandalorians for a little bit and stuff. He didn't have the dark.
Oh,
saber,
Django was the Mandalore.
I think he was Mandalore, and he was a bunch of other things. So he's considered one of the best Mandalorians of all
Right.
time. So theoretically, all these clones are super smart and tactical and combat heavy.
On par with being
So
a
which
Mandalore.
is why when you watch those two clones, Rex and Cody fight the one clone, Sneaky Boy, Slicky Boy. He could stand his own because you're thinking, okay, well, technically they're all the same. Well, that's the thing, they're all the same. So if you're fighting yourself, you might have somewhat of a chance against two of you if you do it correctly. Because you know all your moves and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
I
Right.
get that.
You'll have the same training genetically. You are altered the same. So unless besides manual working out and stuff like that, as well as effort put in,
I got you.
your skills are the same. Well, that's the interesting about the clones. It's and I guess it's the same thing for the battle droids. Like you were saying, why don't they just have droids? I mean, clones can.
I was joking about
Clones can
that. I
activate-
was just saying because the Jedi just don't
Oh,
really
I
seem
know.
to care a whole lot if the clones live or die. Whereas if they were droids, whatever.
Which is not completely true. I know we watch Anakin go, "Oh, sorry, guy, you fell," but
I was just joking. I mean,
I get it. It's one of those things where the reason why their clones are used over the droids is because they have the ability to autonomously make decisions in the event that there's no commander, as well as they can outperform droids somewhat.
Well, that and I think also just kind of the feeling as far as the theming of the show is droids are colder and just being told what to do.
Whereas you can have emotions.
Yes.
Well, technically they're not supposed to have emotions. The clones really.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Right. Or not attached.
Like that one guy.
But they
He's
develop,
I was keeping their fingers.
they develop personalities.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just what happens.
Which is exactly what happens. Theoretically, they're not supposed to, based on their design, have emotions or
Right.
anything because it's supposed to be battle soldiers only. But being around the Jedi, being around each other, kind of you develop. These are my brothers because we're all the same. So that's the one thing you notice that they all call each other brother, even to a certain extent.
I thought they even referenced in the movies when they go to visit Camino that the clones are 99% perfect.
They are 99% perfect.
Right.
That 1% difference.
Is
Bad
where
Batch.
the Bad Batch.
Well, no, that's different. Those are
I know,
Batch is
I
like desired genetic mutations.
Right.
Yeah. So whereas this is these are all the same.
Man, it must be nice having watched Bad Batch.
No, you think it's good, but when you get to it, your
Oh,
heart.
it's not good?
Oh, it's amazing, but your heart gets ripped out a couple times.
Oh, it's-
See, I watched a couple episodes of Bad Batch a year or so ago. So
See, and watching. So there's certain links like Bad Batch. You're not gonna have that link, but there's a link between Clone Wars and Bad Batch, and then there's a link between Bad Batch and Rebels that makes it all the more better if you have the combination of knowing the knowledge. Which you can technically watch Bad Batch and Clone Wars at the same time. Not Clone Wars, Bad Batch and Rebels at the same time, for a specific reason.
it'd be hard to know what's going on if you're watching it simultaneously, though.
yeah, I don't even know if we could
who
fit another
would be
TV.
talking? You know?
No, oh, okay, wow, okay. So that's it. Okay, that's it. All right.
All right,
Guys,
thanks
enjoyed
for
the video.
watching,
Thanks
guys.
for
everybody.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, guys, and have a good night and good evening. And if it's morning there, good morning.
And good afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.